a bent hook and then drill holes through that wood, and then you can drop the pin through the PVC, and that PVC rolls so the lamps kind of slide right through it. Seems to work pretty good for us. The only problem I've had is you can see this one's got a metal gate in there. These hair sheets, they like to try to crawl in there. They can fit really easy. Even with that board, the lower board, even with that down, you know, when we first started, they still get in there somehow. I do not understand. And they can get in, but they never can get out. But that's what we put that in there for. And, it's probably not the greatest thing because the land's starting to get big and bump their knees and stuff off of it, but I don't really have an option there. So that's like, we got the whole other creek gate, but I like those ones. Back to the heavy pin. So some of you might have saw this trash can here, kind of full of some bloody straw. So for our lambing, when we're doing the lambing process, I try to keep probably same amount here, 14 to 16. I don't want to get them too crowded. If you get them too crowded, I don't think they have enough room. You get in danger of getting stuff stepped on. I've heard that dystocia becomes more of an issue when you overcrowd them. So this year we actually had that big, these two groups all do at once, all those U's were due, so we made 2 heavy pins and put them over there, and I can swivel my camera back and forth and check both pins on my phone. But what we do for our landing is, I try to keep this as practical as I can, because that's how I grew up. But you see, I think we've gotten to the point on the clubland deal. This isn't applicable for everyone, but on the clubland deal, I think we've taken a lot of their common sense away. So we do have to intervene quite often with pulling. And actually, I would say there's probably only 3 sheep over here that I didn't pull. Probably not have to be that way, but I see feet, they're worth a lot of money, I just pull them. I wouldn't recommend that if you have commercial sheep. I'd let them do it on their own. On your clubland deal, if you trust your ewes, do it, but I'm always at the point where I'm like, if I see feet and a nose, I'm just going to get them out and get them on the ground because it's not worth losing one that could potentially, you know, be worth a lot of money. So on the recip, yeah, I did have to pull those. Only because I think the birth weight. I've never had to pull Dorper lambs, really. They always come on their own, and those ewes do a really good job of getting them up and going. And I think our blackface ewes do a really nice job too. They're just sometimes they get a little dumb. No, blackface sheep, I guess. The whiteface sheep. But so yeah, I do try to give them time, but these lambs are really big and stout. I just get them out and get them on the ground. Especially if I'm here, I'm not here all the time, so I try to get it done. But in a perfect world, I recommend give them space, give them time. They're going to dig and root around. You don't need to pull, you know, if you have one going on, probably 45 minutes to an hour with not doing anything. I'm not going to lie to make sure that nothing's, you know, wrong. There's a little presentation, I should have had them printed off. There's a little board that have pictures of different malpresentations. So you can kind of feel and understand what it might be. You know, they should come feet first, with their nose, that's how they come out. A lot of the times here, especially this year, we've had some backwards, which isn't a big deal. If the lamb is, you know, a reasonable birth weight, when you get a big lamb that come backwards, it becomes more of an issue. We actually had a ewe lamb last night that came backwards and was really, really big rib, and I had to try to work it around and end up kind of not breaking the rib cage, but just breaking the lower part of her rib, so she's breathing really hard today. They get over it in time, but that's just one of the issues that you face when they come back. I don't like to spend a whole lot of time in the ewes trying to push stuff around, turn around, especially on a big lamb. Tears them up pretty bad. So if I know I can get them out, then I'm just going to get them out the way they're coming. Neck back is another problem, especially if you overcrowd them. I've heard guys say that if you overcrowd and like jam this thing full of sheep, neck back becomes a big issue. I don't know why, but that is more challenging and that takes a little bit more work. But like I said, there's some resources that you can look up that tell you kind of, you can feel, and you know, feel tail. You look at the picture and it'll tell you what they're coming like. And it'll give you a better idea so you can't see what's going on. So we give them about 45 minutes to an hour before we start checking. At that point, we'll go in and check. If nothing's wrong, I'll give them a little more time. In the past, we've had ewes that start lambing and take an hour, and then it's 2 hours, and there's no like water bag, but they're digging in the corner, and it's 3 hours, and it's like 5 in the morning, and I gotta go to work soon, and if I want to speed it up, I have oxytocin on hand, just to increase your contraction interval. That's a good drug, especially once you get the teeth on the ground too, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Once the lambs are on the ground, I leave them alone. I don't touch them. As long as they can breathe, I just leave them be and let the ewe take care of it. And we'll leave them out here for probably 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the set, as long as it's not freezing cold. Then that's when we'll take them into the jugs and put them up in there. But I like to just kind of let the mom and the lamb get bonded for a little bit and let them get used to each other and make sure that the ewe's going to do her job. It gives you a really good idea on who the good moms are too when you leave them out here. The oxytocin. So when we bring them in, we go through a process. I actually have a little bulletin board thing. So we check teats, make sure the bag's good on the ewes. We always bust the teats just to make sure that milk is flowing, colostrum's flowing. Some of the bigger on these lambs, it's really up and down on our sire groups. Some of them come out ready to go, hit the ground wanting to nurse. Like the one we had last night, I pulled it right away and I was sticking the tube down its throat, or a little, what's that called?
It's a bulb, it's like a baby bulb to get the snot out of their nose.
Yeah, the baby bull. I was sticking it down its throat to get it out and it was trying to suck on that baby bull. And it was still soaking wet, just hit the ground. Others lay around and don't want to get up and it takes a little bit longer. So we'll check the teeth. Then I dip their navel with iodine. Iodine 7, I guess. I did that right away just so they don't get any infections. We try to keep it super clean. We bed this pen every day or every couple days, depending on the weather. Sometimes when there's a lot of moisture in the air, it gets wet quicker, but keep it dry and fresh. And then that way you don't have any navel problems. So navel issues can lead to like joint ill or infection. Then we make sure that the ewe is attentive and make sure that if you have a bad bag or if you have a ewe that isn't milking very hard, we'll use that oxytocin. The vet tells us to use 2 cc's of oxytocin per milk drop. Same as 2 cc's. Usually I just do 1 to start with and see if it's effective. I don't want to get too carried away where we drop all this milk and then create bag problems. So. What else there? Probably things, and we're gonna go over it. They're all on the counter, but we have a lambing kit that we always have ready with tubes and the little bulb thing for the nose and the throat. When they do hit the ground, if you don't want to use the bulb thing, straw works great. I just break off a stiff piece of straw and stick it in their nose if you're trying to get them to sneeze and cough. That works really good. Then, actually, I was talking about this. I kind of got off track, but so when I was talking about when we start lambing, we have this kind of collection of garbage can thing. Anytime we have a ewe lamb, I clean up all the blood, placenta, anything that might have got dirty. So I don't want any cross contamination between ewes. Just a biosecurity thing. I definitely would recommend, if you're lambing like in an open setting, try to keep track of your afterbirth. Most ewes will eat it. We try to get it out of there so the ewes don't. We don't want them choking on it. I've heard guys having really nice ewes choke on afterbirth, so it seems like it's become a way to lose the sheep. So we throw all ours away, especially in here, being in the barn where the smell could get bad if we start letting that all build up. Outside of a pasture setting or a dry lot might not be that big of a deal. Then once we go into our lambing jugs for the 7 or 10 days like I talked about, then we bring them out here into our group housing. We actually split these 2 groups by sires. So everything in this group is sired by a buck called Speakeasy. These are all random sires over here. They're all, like I said, the same age. These are the 2 cleanup bucks. And then we got our Dorper buck over there and our Fallborn sheep over there. Then, yeah, that's kind of how we're set up this time of year.